you should come into this tournament trying to touch the trophy, and that's what I'm thinking about. Like, I want to create history in Scotland, but you have to start well to be able to even speak about touching the trophy. And I suppose every coach says this coming into an environment, is that this is the best squad we've ever had, you know, but as a player, I know it is, you know, because I play with these boys week in, week out, and I think this is the best in terms of players' form that I've come into a tournament. I feel like every successful team has that moment, you know, and I know that there's been a fair few of those moments for Scotland, and that's the frustrating thing. But, you know, come Six Nations, we can either look back at that Argentina game as a positive moment or a positive change, or it can be the opposite, you know, and I think the boys have used the last 3 months going back to their club to take out that frustration and, like you say, sharpen the sword.
Sione, you were injured on the eve of last year's Six Nations, so this is a full year out, and we asked some of the guys as well, do you look at it differently? Just being able to take a step back, because it's something I've retired now. I look at the Six Nations so differently now, because when you're in it and you try and not look at the background noise, but you've had that, I suppose, unique opportunity to step back and look at it, and now you're back in it.
100%. There's a bit of like gratitude towards that as well, because like you miss out last year, but then you also get the experience of being like a spectator for probably the only, you know, competition I have over the last, 10 years. You're watching it without, I suppose, a way to impact a result or anything like that, which was a weird experience, to be honest. But now it's a whole year. I can't lie, the last couple of weeks I have been a little bit nervous, to be honest.
Itchy, getting ready to go.
Yeah, and it's just, you get to when, I had that traumatic experience last year, you get to it like a year later and you remember what it felt like to miss out on a tournament like this. So I think to make it to a tournament like this now, and I'm really excited, and it'll be the first time I've captained Scotland in the Six Nations, and like I said, I feel really aligned, like emotionally as well, just without missing out last year, and also how the autumn went. I'm ready for the tournament now, and I'm really excited.
Want to go and play now?
Yeah, a little bit, to be honest.
Ready to go. And so when you say, John, that you've seen it very differently now, is that because you realise how much goes around the Six Nations in terms of travelling fans, in terms of noise, all the stuff that makes the Six Nations different? So I think even a World Cup.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. There's an emotional attachment to the Six Nations.
The identity, all of that.
Fully. I think when I step back and I look at it now, I just think, wow. I literally go to the games and you tell you the way you're speaking about it as well, the excitement, and I wonder if that's a reflection of the injury, but also a reflection of the excitement which Glasgow are building. I look at Glasgow and the level of confidence that team seems to have. But I'm going to reference the Autumns. I sensed a very different group of players post the Autumns in terms of using that adversity to almost sharpen the swords and say, well, this at some point it has to come.
Yeah, I think so, and I suppose that was the question that got posed to the group, is that I feel like every successful team has that moment, and I know that there's been a fair few of those moments for Scotland, and that's the frustrating thing. But come Six Nations, we can either look back at that Argentina game as a positive moment or a positive change, or it can be the opposite, and I think the boys have used the last 3 months going back to their club to take out that frustration and, like you say, sharpen the sword. And I can only speak from my experience that I've been having at Glasgow, is that we've been on a little bit of a roll, but I think in a weird way we haven't really been thinking that we're on a roll. It's just been like week to week we are finding ways to win, and that's what you need. I know I will be saying this to the group as well, but club rugby is a lot different to test rugby, and it's important not to be deluded that just because we're doing well at Glasgow, that will transition to the test arena without the right preparation. So we need to, yes, take the confidence from what we've done at Glasgow and what the other boys have done as well at their clubs, but also be realistic to the fact that we need to prepare well now as well, that we're stepping into a new environment and a different environment that is test rugby.
But it's all experiences, isn't it? Because I remember being at the Sale game, and Sale had your number in the first half. You turned it around one, going away, with a little bit to spare at the end, and then to lose, you backed it up. Clermont, you backed it up. You backed it up, Saracen. So just the principles of a team, learning to deal with pressure, learning to back up wins, and learning, I suppose, to get in tight games and come out the other side is all something you hopefully can bring to Scotland?
Yeah, definitely, and they are big games if they're not Test rugby or not, and there's a lot of Test players out there that we're playing against, and but like I said, in a weird way with Glasgow, it's not something that we've been really speaking about. It's been happening, and I think that's important that we take it to Scotland. It's not something anything that I can say on a podcast or an interview that's going to make anyone do anything. It's about doing it, and we've been doing that at Glasgow recently, and there were parts of the autumn that we did that in the games. But at Test rugby, the margin for error is a lot smaller than what it is for club rugby. So maybe going down 14 against Sale away from home, maybe doing that in a Test arena, or maybe in Rome or in Italy, is something that you don't want to do, But we have been finding ways to win, which has been a positive thing for Glasgow. And yeah, you get used to being in those high-pressure environments, and our leaders get used to calling things in high-pressure environments, and we can take that into a Test arena.
The lapses is Scotland have been very close, and if you said it earlier, Jonesy, like a few years ago, certainly when I was playing, the thought of leaving a New Zealand game and being like devastated that you didn't win or deserved to win, but there's been lapses, and you look back to Rome 2 years ago, games where you were in such command and control, and then a little bit of a lapse, and that's something you guys must have spoken about. And I suppose the question is probably a hard one to answer, maybe an unfair one, is how do you stop those lapses? Because the margins, as you say, are so tight in Test match rugby, and momentum can just swing.
Yeah, definitely. And I think what you said there about the New Zealand game is that I'd never felt the feeling that I felt after that New Zealand game playing for Scotland. It's because we had had other tough matches, maybe against South Africa, the previous autumn, where I came out of it, yes, disappointed, proud of the way we played, but maybe in that game we hung on, if you know what I'm saying, where I had never been in a big game for Scotland, at least, like the New Zealand game where we were in command, and we should have, in my opinion, done enough to win that game. They're two very different feelings, but it's also important that the team realises that we're getting into these games not by hanging on. We're getting into these games with the ability to keep going and finish them off. And I know that they are words, but the feeling is different in the change room, and I think it's important the players take that feeling taking the confidence out of a loss as well, of knowing that we played well enough, not just scrape by or not to hold on long enough that we could come up with a play in the last 10 minutes, but in games that we should really dominate, and we have really dominated on the stat sheet or, in large parts of the game. So, yeah, it is something that we need to show growth from, that we have spoken about. I think momentum's come such a big part of Test rugby now, especially with rule changes and things like that. And it's something that we need to show growth from, definitely, though, from the autumn.
How much your squad going to be stretched by having to play 3 weeks back to back? I know you do it in the autumn, but as we've touched upon, it's different around the Six Nations, isn't it? It's really going to test not your 23, your 25, but maybe your 30, 32. Yeah,
definitely. And I suppose every coach says this coming into an environment, is that this is the best squad we've ever had, but as a player, I know it is, because I play with these boys week in, week out, and I think this is the best in terms of players' form that I've come into a tournament with. We talk about the Glasgow form, but not only that, but Bath are in a good place, Toulouse are always in a good place, Benny at Toulon has been playing well. It's probably the first time, I know I missed out last year when we were in good form as well, but the first time where I've looked across the board and I've seen a lot of informed players coming into a tournament, and that's exciting for me as a captain.
Good stuff. Do you, set targets to the team? You would sense the frustration from the Scottish rugby public, not because they don't see you trying your best, but they just know what you've got in you, and they know you can beat Argentina, you can beat New Zealand. So have you gone in and go, right, this is where we want to be in 2 months' time on the table, or is it very much a performance kind of thing?
Not on the table. And I think it's important, well, my message to the group anyways, this is how I view it, is that it's important that you relieve yourself of the big picture of the Six Nations, such a long tournament, and to go and get you one, and play games. Like you say, it's going to test the squad. The injuries will happen, but play single games and worry about, I suppose, where you finish up on the ladder later in the tournament, because if you're thinking about the ladder or what we need to do to get here, or if we can get to Wales with this many wins, I think you miss the thing that's right in front of your face, and that's Italy at the moment. And it's been a problematic fixture for us in the last couple of years. We lost there 2 years ago away from home, and I think if you start thinking about anything else, the main goal, and this is the same for every captain, is that you should come into this tournament trying to touch the trophy, and that's what I'm thinking about. Like, I want to create history in Scotland, but you have to start well to be able to even speak about touching the trophy, and that'll be the message to the boys.
Love it. I'm going to ask him this question, can I?
Yep.
We've asked all the captains. You scored the match-winning try at Murrayfield. What song's coming on?
Jeez,
I've talked you up. I said it's going to be something different.
mine would be probably a little bit different, but I would probably play a Prince song. I'm a big Prince fan, you see.
Oh, Raspberry Beret?
Yeah,
Possibly.
Possibly. That's right up my alley, actually. Because you get the old folks in, and also the young ones that are aware of Prince's work.
Okay.
So I'll bring everyone together. I think Prince, something Prince.
Nice.
like
Purple Rain, if it starts raining, it is Scotland.
Yeah,
you know
and
what I
you
mean?
got
slow.
Yeah.
There's a bit of purple.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. That's the match-winning try. We've got Purple Rain
Purple on the collar. There's purple on the shirt, isn't there? Good stuff. Bit of Prince. Great way to finish. Nice one, Sione.
Nice. Happy
Cheers,
days.
Sione.
Cheers.
Well done.